This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
PNG and US sign a defense cooperation agreement. Mozambique Governor Lutawenge says defense cooperation agreement is unconstitutional. And European Union continues to support the EU's trade program. A very good evening. This is National EMTV News. I'm Godwin Eki. Thank you for joining us. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has clarified on the Defense Cooperation Agreement and the Ship-Rider Agreement, which were signed yesterday afternoon in Port Moresby. Secretary Blinken said these agreements will further deepen ties with PNG and the United States to address a series of challenges faced in the region.
Before signing the two agreements, U.S. Secretary Blinken said this cooperation will deepen the relationship between the two countries. He said PNG plays a critical role in shaping the Indo-Pacific region, hence the cooperation.
We are deeply invested in the Indo-Pacific because our planet's future is being written here. And Papua New Guinea is playing a critical role in shaping that future. That leadership is on display this week as you've welcomed 16 delegations for the U.S. Pacific Island Forum Leaders Meeting to make progress on priorities that we've established together, from tackling the climate crisis to improving public health to enhancing disaster preparedness and response.
Secretary Blinken said these two agreements will drive economic activities, invest in healthcare, and enhancing the PNG Defense Force ability to safeguard PNG territories.
We're driving economic opportunity through partnerships between our businesses, which are bringing tens of billions in new investments to Papua New Guinea. And we are teaming up to bring preventative, life-saving HIV/AIDS treatment to people here in Papua New Guinea so that they can continue to lead healthy and productive lives. Simply put, we are committed to growing all aspects of our relationship.
He highlighted that the Defense Cooperation Agreement was drafted by both PNG and the U.S. as equals.
The Defense Cooperation Agreement, drafted by the Papua New Guinea and the United States as equal and sovereign partners, will enhance the PNG's Defense Force's capabilities to deliver humanitarian assistance and disaster relief, including through providing medical care and temporary shelter to those who are affected by crises. The agreement will also make it easier for PNG and U.S. forces to train together in new ways and in more places as part of our joint effort to uphold peace and security across the Indo-Pacific.
Blinken further stated that they will be fully transparent on the DCA agreement.
We will be fully transparent with the details of the agreement, which contains elements from our previous agreement and updates it to reflect our shared commitment to deepen cooperation on issues that matter most to people here, as well as in the United States.
Blinken maintained that the U.S. is fully committed in growing all aspects of the relationships established in the Pacific region. The two agreements were signed yesterday in the evening by U.S. Secretary Blinken and the Minister for Defense Win Bakri Daki at the APEC House. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Mozambique Governor Lutawenge says he will fight for what is right if the newly signed US-PNG Defense Cooperation Agreement is found to be unconstitutional.
Speaking to the University of Technology students in Leh yesterday after they protested on the agreement, Wenger says by looking at the agreement and what the students were protesting about, there was serious breach of the Papua New Guinea Constitution.
So when you and the man who was presenting the petition to me, surely there is serious breaches of Papua New Guinea Constitution. Serious breaches.
He says he will take this to the Supreme Court to see if this agreement violates the sovereign state of PNG's constitution, and if it does, the agreement shall be ruled null and void.
Constitutional Court, the Supreme Court, as the authority And I think that the Constitutional Court would just rule that those agreements or intended agreement null and void.
Since the agreement was signed already, Wenger says he will present the students' petition to the Prime Minister, who is due to visit Morobe this week, and also present the petition to the floor of Parliament for deliberation.
Mr. President, I will present your petition to the Prime Minister in the chambers of the Morobe Provincial Government. Alternatively, if you like, I will present your petition on your behalf to the National Parliament, which convention sits on the 6th of June.
Bulolo MP Sam Basil Jr., who was with the governor to receive the students' petition, says he will work with the governor to bring the petition to the attention of the government. Former University of Technology Student Representative Senate President Eliza Kapma claims that the decision on that agreement has bypassed the Parliament and NEC, and they feel that this is not right.
Capitalizing on Article 117, Section 5, subsection 3, by bypassing the NEC and has gone towards signing the treaty. And as a citizen, we feel that this is not right.
However, Prime Minister James Marape says the signing of the Defense Cooperation Agreement and the Ship Rider Agreement yesterday between the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and PNG Defense Minister Win Bakri Daki are good for the country and will grow the economy, including protecting the nation's sovereignty going forward. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
Trukai Industries has signed a partnership agreement with the Pacific Adventist University to continue the country's rich cultivation training, under the Smart Farmer program. Trukai signed a memorandum of agreement with PAU in Leh yesterday for a 5-year partnership aimed at utilizing academic and professional facilities to enhance the knowledge of local rice farmers in PNG.
Trukai Industries CEO Alan Preston says the agreement with PAU comes after the company successfully certified more than 105 local rice farmers in irrigated rice farming, which was facilitated under the partnership with the PNG University of Technology's Agriculture Department earlier this year.
With Unitech, on our very first call out, we got 400 that registered. We were shocked at how many people wanted to be part of it.
The partnership with the university will allow local rice farmers to have access to classrooms, research facilities, farming areas, student training and extension activities. The certificate in irrigated rice farming training under Trukai's Smart Farmer program will enable rice growers in the country to not only acquire a certificate from a recognized tertiary institution, but to also build capacity in local rice farming to transition from subsistence to commercial rice farming in the long term. PAU's Vice-Chancellor Professor Tetsulohi Matainaho says he was pleased to join a partnership with Trukai due to the program's community-orientated aspect.
And to work out how we can proceed with that. And I want to I think for us it's consistent with what we've been trying to work to establish a clear direction for PAU as a university. And one of the strategic focus in terms of arena is on community partnerships.
He says the most important function for any educational institution is the transferring of knowledge to the people and welcome this partnership with Trukai. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
The EU's trade program, funded by the European Union, has been supporting the agriculture sector in the East and West Pacific provinces for more than 3 years now. The three main sectors that this program is working on are fisheries, vanilla and cocoa, and the overall objective of the program is to make sure that the rural households improve their livelihood through agribusiness.
Union-funded program is being implemented as a United Nations joint program under the leadership of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations in partnership with the International Labour Organization, International Telecommunication Union, United Nations Capital Development Fund, and United Nations Development Program, together with the national, provincial, and local government and administration institutions, partners, and stakeholders. The program focuses on entrepreneurship and investment and trade. This was further explained by the program coordinator Ali Said Yusuf.
Remember, the aim is to provide a whole package of interventions that would transform the rural subsistence form of production to a more, business-oriented, so people can make money, can earn revenue, and improve their livelihoods. That is the ambition or the overall goal of the program. Farmers need a lot of inputs. On the component one, they get the skill, knowledge, and systems, organizational support to produce cocoa, to market, etc. But on the second component, with what we call financial inclusion, it allows them to access appropriate financial products. And this component is mainly led by the UNCDF, United Nations Capital Development Fund.
The STRAIGHT program is a 5-year contract, and they are in the second year of implementation that will end in 2024. The Monitoring and Evaluation Officer of EU STRAIGHT PNG confirmed that they are on the right track to achieve their target set for the 5-year program.
We achieve almost the 50% of the targets. So let me tell you a little bit details of each value chain. Like in cocoa, we have 8 outputs, and if you just take an average, we already achieve more than 50%, in fact, not less than. And in vanilla, we are almost achieve 60% of our targets. In fisheries, we are a little bit behind, but because of these procurement things, but now we are in very good shape to implement or achieve our targets, what we set. But overall achievement in fishery sector is 30%, not more than that. But we are right now in a very good shape.
Estagane, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. In 1975, Papua New Guinea government enforced the Visiting Forces Act. It has been 48 years since this act was amended. During the U.S. Pacific Islands Forum meeting yesterday, the PNG Defense Minister Win Daki and U.S. State Secretary Antony Blinken signed a defense cooperation agreement, an agreement that was met with much controversy.
In 1989, Papua New Guinea signed a status of force agreement with the United States of America. After 34 years, both countries are elevating this partnership with the signing of the new Defense Cooperation Agreement, or DCA. Prime Minister Marape elaborates.
For the record, Papua New Guinea has a Visiting Force Act of 1975 that allows for these agreements to be entered upon. Consistent with the provision of our national constitution, section 206, we're doing this transparently with due process that has started many years preceding this moment, and we're now arriving at this juncture where both sides have agreed that the agreement that we're signing today doesn't offend Papua New Guinea law, doesn't offend USA law, is mutually beneficial, especially, and for me, in the context of Papua New Guinea. There have been exchanges back and forth, physical meeting, as well as exchanges through all modes of contact on matters we felt needs to be looked at. And I just want to announce this moment to Papua New Guineans. This signing in no way, shape and form encroaches into our sovereignty.
Despite the media's attempts to get clarity on the contents of the agreement that will be reviewed after 15 years, both parties have assured the public the stipulation will be disclosed to the public this Thursday.
We will be fully transparent with the details of the agreement, which contains elements from our previous agreement and updates it to reflect our shared commitment to deepen cooperation on issues that matter most to people here as well as in the United States.
Prior to the signing of the DCA, students from various universities in the country staged peaceful protests demanding the government to delay the signing to ensure the citizens are aware of the agreement's terms.
Don't want this.
One day after the signing, we took to the public to get their opinions on the agreement.
Our government ministers who are in the government now, if they know something, they have to be honest themselves. They are our elected leaders.
I really not happy with this, and I hope that we get our leaders to review what they have signed.
In response to the public's concerns on the need for consultation before the signing and amendment of the agreement, this was PM Marape's response today during the NESFAN FM 100 Talkback show.
The entire process of legally speaking, the word is promulgation, but the entire process of developing an agreement like this was deployed upon. Every step of the way, Defense Minister come down, Prime Minister come down, talk, make him happen. Defense Minister of 2017. Process start long 2017 this Defense Cooperation Agreement.
According to Secretary Blinken, the fostering of this relationship will bring investments into PNG. Amanda Ilaitia, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Defence Force, during an information session today at the Mari Barracks in Port Moresby, clarified to the civil society on their stance in signing the Defence Cooperation Agreement and the Shipwrighter Agreement. Commander for PNGDF, Major General Mark Goyna, highlighted that the PNG Defence Force needs assistance from other forces to increase the capability of the force.
Major General Mark Goyna says the government lacks the ability to fund the Defence Force. He outlined 5 major factors that need to be addressed in the force, where he sees that the government cannot properly fund in making sure PNGDF performs its mandated duties.
Our government alone cannot provide the support to PNGDF. Our government is competing priorities. As a developing country, our government has the duty and responsibility for health, education.
In terms of the Defence Cooperation Agreement, the legal director for PNGDF, Rodney Yahamani, said PNG has DCAs with Indonesia and Australia. He said the US DCA is just moving from SOFA to DCA, whereas the principle remains the same.
Well, so this is not the first defense cooperation agreement we have. So we have existing bilateral defense cooperation agreements with 2 other countries which we have ongoing military to military exchanges and activities, and those agreements derived under the framework of our PNG Defense Visiting Forces Act.
Secretary for Defense Hari John Akipe says the signing is not final as it will go through Parliament for ratifications. He says that the final draft of the agreement is different from the leaked document which raised concerns.
I understand that this DCA will go through the process. I do not want to go to the details of that until Parliament ratify until the Parliament debates on that. But what I can assure all of us, that our Constitution, this DCA in no way breaches our Constitution.
PNG Defence Force maintains that they will perform their primary role of protecting PNG's sovereignty without compromising with foreign forces present in the country. Cynthia Maku, National EMTV News.
More than 2,000 farmers in the remote part of Lumi, West Sepik Province have benefited from the Mama Bank since 2020 under the STRAIGHT program funded by the European Union. The Mama Bank provides services such as deposits, withdrawals, loans and trainings on business and marketing. The target is to bring accessible banking services to the remote areas to help small business men and women to become entrepreneurs.
Under the STRAIGHT program, the United Nations Capital Development Fund has partnered with 3 of the major microbanks to bring banking and financial services to all districts in the East and West Sepik provinces. The digital financial services consultant Benjamin Gawi confirmed that they have completed their programs in 10 districts altogether, 6 districts of the East Sepik province and 4 of the West Sepik province.
They achieved all the targets of establishing one map Mama access point in all 10 districts, and they achieved also the target of 20,000 customers. Actually, they ended up with 22,000 customers, beyond the expected outcome that we were working together with them with.
However, he stated that they still have Mi Bank and Cell Money to work with, as these 3 are interlinked to serve the people in the remote areas.
And so we find that in Lumi, mothers that walk the mountain distances can just be Cell Money agents, and they can just transfer their money direct into the bank without having to walk the rivers and cross the mountains to come here.
The project officer of Women's Microbank from Lumi, Solomon Waisi, said they serve about 20 to 30 customers in a day, but most of the mothers reside far and it takes them hours to come out and access these services.
Many of our customers, they are not close here in Lumi, they are far. Maybe they are walking from about 1 night sleeping from the road and then reaching the bank area. So many of them, they are complaining about us. And
Susan Nasa, a vanilla farmer, says she started vanilla farming with her husband since 1998, and it was not safe for them to keep their money in the house. But with these Mama banking services, they can now keep their money safe.
Now, Mama bank mi come mi plan mas because mi plan walk lo market or mi plan lo vanilla or naraplo project mi plexim money mi plan put him lo here because mi in no safe lo mi plan holding. So mi plan mas le Mama bank mi come because no kat naraplo bank mo.
The banking services of Women's Microbank was brought into every remote parts of the East and West Sepik provinces and is benefiting most of the families to save their money and become entrepreneurs. Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Access to proper roads and transportation is one of the major challenges faced by older farmers in the remote areas of East and West Sepik provinces when it comes to transporting their goods to the markets. The International Labour Organization, under the EU STRAIGHT program, is upgrading a total of 18 roads in the 2 provinces. These roads were selected according to the number of farmers accessing those roads.
Under the International Labour Organization, they are focusing on infrastructure by building roads for the 3 value chain of STRAIGHT program, which are vanilla, cocoa and fisheries. The site engineer of International Labour Organization, Serulo Waranaka, explained that of the 18 roads, they are now working on a road in the Dracula Rural LLG. The road is 14.5 kilometers long and the contract is around 1.1 million kina.
We have over 1,000 kilometers of roads, feeder roads in East Sepik alone that needs to be done. And we're just doing only around 250 to 300 kilometers of road. So if you look at it, we should be thankful for the work, for the money that's been given to the province to carry out this work, but there's still a lot of work that still needs to be done. So in one way we should be satisfied, but in the other way there's still a lot of work.
The main aim of this program is to enable farmers, especially the cocoa and vanilla farmers, to bring their products to the markets. Over 5,000 road users will have access to this road to go to school, markets, hospital and town.
Basically, the main aim of this program is we want to enable the farmers, especially the cacao and vanilla farmers in this road section, to bring out their produce. So give them accessibility to the market. Enable the farmers, especially the cacao and vanilla farmers in this road section, to bring out their produce. So give them accessibility to the market. Moreover, in addition to that, there's also Drakeke High School, which is just down by the road. So these people are also having access to this road, and teachers and other locals as well. So there's
Mr. Waranaka says these roads are sufficient for the next 2 to 3 years, and they hope that the provincial government can contribute to maintain the roads in the years to come.
For sustainability, we are currently talking with the provincial government and local level presidents to see if they can incorporate this method or this technique into their budget so they can continue where we end. So they can continue to finance and support the RMG groups to look after the feeder roads in the provinces.
Esther Gane, National EMTV News.
Kutubu local level government and communities within the LLG were blessed with 10 dinghies and 1 ambulance purchased under the Provincial Services Improvement Program and handed over to them by President John Pipikila to support the community with the aim of making travelling easier for them in accessing services such as health. President Pipikila said mothers and children will be the ones who will benefit most from this donation.
For the Pimaga community and the people of Kutubu LLG, receiving 10 dinghies and an ambulance from President John Pipikila will ease the transport problems that the people are faced with. By having the 10 dinghies purchased through the PSIP funds to support each of the communities, people there will no longer try to paddle on their canoes to the aid post or health centre, but instead will now use the outboard motor to make transport quicker during emergencies.
Ranwara Kutubu Plandiol Man Mary also pulling canoe. Kare mol mama la kare pigirini. Na papa is sick or some like emergency. Na all hard work na pulling petrol na iko and long way to Maslow housing. Na me looking na me planning na stop na Gori Papa Gori give me some money. Na mitindin lombaim sampla moto long wara na imba ko haria blo housing na campek haria because pool low canoe am too low, so that's why me buy 10 bla boat me buy na give him lot people blo me long Kutubu ran wara na now all use him now.
This is said to strongly help women and children and other emergencies that may occur any time of the day that may require urgent medical attention. President John Pipikila said the ambulance purchased for the Pimaga Sub-Health Centre will also help in transporting patients, pregnant mothers and the elderly in the community and from the aid post to seek medical attention.
Nupla ambulance me buy the Pimaga. Me buy no Pimanga because Pimanga to Mendi and long way through na Plandi Man Mary Kisim Pakarap na noka ambulance lahap so me buy one bla new bla ambulance na me give him igolong all housing walk Man Mary long Pimanga hospital. Give them na now get a hamamas now get a walk Man Mary hamamas na me hand over take over key one the more finish.
The purchasing and distribution of these ambulance and dinghies will change the way the people struggle in accessing health services, as struggling to paddle their canoes will now be a thing of the past.
And now looking at the Nest Fund market report, the Kina closed unchanged at $0.2830 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.2755 US, $0.4113 Australian dollars, $0.2472 euro, 37.77 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York closed, gold is trading lower, coffee closed lower, cocoa closed lower, copra closed lower, palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading lower, copper closed higher. On the stock market, the Dow Jones closed lower, the ASX 200 is trading lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading lower. National EMTV News continues after the break with more local stories. Stay with us. You're watching National EMTV News. We continue with more local stories. 18 ward councillors in the Kutubu LLG on Saturday received 18 vehicles purchased under the Provincial Services Improvement Program through their LLG President, John Pipikila, and the Governor for Southern Highlands, William Powie. These vehicles will be used by the ward members to conduct their day-to-day activities in their respective wards.
According to the president for Kutubu LLG, John Pipikila, for the first time, 18 ward councillors in the Kutubu LLG received a vehicle each to help support them with their day-to-day activities. He said each of the ward members will now be able to use the vehicles to travel to and from town and to carry out their work in the community.
All 18 block council blow me. Only talk or some talk or talk or some 18 block council blow me or talk come 18 block council or some mouse law and come me. Na me talk out na talk straight or some media or some Governor William Powie. Time you been campaign. Me blood been giving you 18 block peak. Na me blood been giving you 18 block sak na sambla muruk. Na big blood thank you long 18 block council come long Governor William Powie, Southern Highlands Governor. Lo me blood give him lo election tasol you know losing in lo me blood. Na you give him back now. But now all the councillors all been supporting Governor William Powie lo strong blow you na support blow you na hard work blow you. All the 18 block council he got 18 block car now. Na talk thank you blow me long people blow me lo for in a faso. One day 18 block council come block Governor Honorable William Powie.
He said it should boost the work of the ward members in the area so that they can deliver services into the community and develop the place. He said it's been a long time coming.
Me by Nupla 20 block car na give him all council. One them district administrator blow me. One them clerk block council. All together now he got car now.
President John Pipikila said he will continue to work with the governor and other leaders to help develop Kutubu LLG moving forward.
Prime Minister James Marape during the Nest Fund FM 100 Talkback show this morning was questioned on the processes involved in approving overseas trips, especially for delegates representing the country. He was asked to clarify on this matter.
This question is in relation to the PNG delegation who travelled to the UK for the coronation of King Charles III. This is the Prime Minister's response.
Those from the National Executive arm of government, it comes to, at the top of the structure I sit, the ministers take the delegation. We've already have a standing instruction to all ministers when it is only necessary for them to travel. They travel for these international engagements and they take with them. I think my memory is failing me, but 4 or 5, those who are just necessary to attend to ensure that work meeting is attended, registered, and coming back to progress them. So we've already given instruction, take very light entourage. And I think when the Honorable Chochenko went there to represent me, his office itself took 4. And of the 4 included his daughter and his security, his driver, his security. So he took only 4, if I'm not wrong.
Prime Minister Marape went on to explain that the Governor General's office make their own call on how many people they take.
They indicate to me that about 10 were invited, and so there are different people in those: the media, his security details, his close protection, his butler. He goes with the official entourage also. So about 10 or so traveling, and about Chief Justice. He makes his own call. The Speaker makes their own call. Whilst we name per se, we government, but consistently we are separate in terms of our ability to make a call.
Mr. Marape added that there is a standing instruction in place.
For the executive government, we've issued instruction out already. It's a standing instruction that travel is light, so those who are necessarily required to travel are allowed to travel.
Florence John Doe, National EMTV News.
You're watching National EMTV News. Moving to overseas news now. The Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Sydney, Australia.
But here in Harris Park, well, it's reignited the flame of the local community, having the Indian leader come visit for the first time in nearly 10 years. It's also reignited this age-old debate over the precinct's name. So it is called Harris Park here, but they're hoping, a number of businesses here in Harris Park are hoping that can be renamed to Little India, and it would become sort of a cultural precinct in the city's second CBD. So it's a really interesting day here, and they're hoping a little bit later Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister, will make his way here to Harris Park before Sydney Olympic Park, where it's the big main concert for today, with nearly 20,000 fans expected to arrive to that area, where there'll be as well lots of dancing, music and lots of yummy Indian food as well. Spoken to a number of people on the ground already, and here's a little bit of what they had to say about how excited they are for Mr. Modi's visit.
We got a great leader like Modi ji is coming to Australia representing India. And India is always India, because India is infinity. We are in the mission where making India a $1 trillion economy.
Papua New Guinea has signed a pact with the US amidst the Pacific militarization concerns.
Well, unfortunately, for all the talk of transparency from both US Secretary of State Antony Blinken as well as Prime Minister James Marape, we still haven't seen the actual text of the agreement. Now, the big questions on people's minds will be whether or not there's any kind of immunity offered to US soldiers who commit offences here in Papua New Guinea, and rather whether they'll be tried under the US military system, but also, of course, whether or not and in which time frame US assets and personnel will be placed at Papua New Guinea bases. When I asked Secretary of State Antony Blinken that question yesterday after the signing, he really was sort of at pains to say, look, we're just trying to support Papua New Guinea's goals and ambitions, train their PNG Defence Force and help sort of plug and assist in kind of the gaps in their capability. So the real spin on this at the moment is that this is about disaster and humanitarian assistance and the like, rather than countering Chinese influence. Prime Minister James Marape is copping a fair bit of heat at home over the Defence Cooperation Agreement, but for him, he's said that ultimately this doesn't undermine PNG's sovereignty and it doesn't preclude it from signing any other agreements with other nations. Here's what he had to say at the signing yesterday.
The agreement that we're signing today doesn't offend Papua New Guinea law, doesn't offend USA law. It's mutually beneficial, especially and for me in the context of Papua New Guinea. It secures our national interest to grow into becoming a robust economy.
National EMTV News continues after the break with Trukai Sports. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with local sports, and with the Pacific Games just 5 months away, the Taekwondo 2023 named its train-on squad to the Games, underwent its physio screening and strength and conditioning test today at the Tarama Aquatic and Indoor Centre in Port Moresby. After this screening, only 8 male and 8 female will be named on the final squad listing who will represent the country in the Solomon Islands.
Today, a total of 18 Taekwondo contingents underwent their physio screening under the supervision of their national coach, Edward Kassman, along with their team manager, Grace Ila, and assistant female coach, Theresa Toa. Some of the physio screening and strength and conditioning tests involved vertical jumps and reach, push-ups and sit-ups, agility and beep tests. This was further detailed by assistant coach Toa.
There's different screening for the athletes. So we are doing the beep test now, the flexibility test, vertical reach and jump. So that we try to test how far they can reach, how high they can jump. So the program's done for their training.
According to team manager Ila, this screening also stands as an indicator that their justification committee will use to determine whether or not an athlete is qualified to remain on the squad.
Athletes, they train 6 days a week. They get 1 day off. This screening now is specifically for the justification committee to be sitting in a week's time. That's to justify if they are qualified to go for the South Pacific Games or not. So this screening is very, very important for each of the athletes.
Ila says their training has been going very well as they look forward to their upcoming international and national events leading up to the Pacific Games in November. Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Meanwhile, the 18 on the Taekwondo train-on squad have a number of upcoming international and national events which are set to take place in the coming months. Taekwondo team manager Grace Ila made a call for any interested sponsors to come on board and assist them ahead of these events as they represent the country in the sport of Taekwondo.
The Taekwondo train-on team is currently preparing for 3 international events, where 2 will be played in Australia, whilst the other will be competed in Korea, along with the 4th event to be competed in the nation's capital. Team manager Grace Ila says their preparations are looking good and they look forward to these events.
For us here, we are doing well. Our preparation is it's looking really good. Our athletes, they are right up there. The peak is high, so we have these high hopes for them, and we know that they will do very well in the competition in a month's time.
Despite that, Ila says the team is in dire need for funding as the PNG Olympic Committee cannot meet all the needs for individual athletes.
We hope that we have good funding for them, because at the moment our PNGOC does not have enough to cater for all their travels. So they do, but not really, because the government has not really given us plenty so that all our athletes can benefit well. So I mean, we wish and we hope that we find something good for them so that.
She says attending such international events is not an easy task as they have to be ready a year in advance, and more of overseas training camps would boost their performances to represent the country well.
Like going for the Olympic, it's not easy. We need to prepare our athletes a year in advance, and Olympic is just around the corner. And we feel that, yes, we have time to prepare for them, but the time is we need more competition and we need more overseas training camps for them.
Lisa Puni, Trukai Sports.
Trukai Sports continues after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. In overseas sports now, in rugby union, Wallabies coach Eddie Jones is in London at the moment to coach the Barbarians, with some players vying for Wallabies selection.
Yeah, every opportunity you get to work with the players is a bonus, and particularly since these two boys have been playing in Japan, it's a great week to try to establish a relationship and see where they're up to. Well, when the appropriate time comes to discuss that, certainly discussions with Rugby Australia will be had, and I'm hopeful that whatever number of players we need, that they'll agree to. And you know, we want to win back the Bledisloe Cup. We want to beat South Africa and Pretoria. We want to win the World Cup, and to do that, we have to have the best players. Yeah, well, there's always exceptions to it, and certainly if we need to, we'll ask for exceptions, and I'm sure we're going to have a good discussion.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
Weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Southern region, Port Moresby, cloudy periods with possible showers. Daru, partly cloudy with a shower or two. Kerema, cloudy periods with few showers. Alatau, cloudy with rain showers and possible thunderstorm. Popondetta, cloudy with evening rain showers.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Tuesday, the 23rd of May, 2023. From the entire news team, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.